You should have audio now. Let me know. Okay, audio should now be here. Let me know if you can see and hear it. Thank you for telling me. Audio is here. Your kitty Lilith says hello to Kaylee. Hi, Lilith. I love that. Okay, so I'm broadcasting live. Let's start because now people are tuned in. I request if you're tuned in, because Facebook, Meta, Instagram don't share lives the way they used to. I don't think YouTube does either. If you're tuned in, please give this broadcast a share if you wouldn't mind. Wherever you may be tuned in from, I'm live on TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. And I just want to be able to reach as many people as I can. I only go live with live readings like this once a month. So if you would throw a share my way, I would be appreciative. If you would like to get a reading, let me know by putting a cat in the chat. Good morning, Brittany. The audio is now working. It was me. I was the problem. It was me. And if audio, it was me. It was an audio problem. But thank you. Thank you all for telling me about the audio issues and Facebook. That was Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube that were having audio issues because I was streaming from StreamYard and I have my audio settings wrong. I have fixed them. I have since fixed the settings. The settings are now right so that you can hear me. So the secret code, if you'd like a code, is to drop a cat into the chat. Either put a cat emoji in the chat or write the word meow, and I will give you a card. I'm going to be starting with a card for everyone. I'm then going to be reading for our regular Ondine, who is not at home today, but requested a card in advance. You have a new phone and sometimes the audio settings go wonky. Yeah, it was me. I don't have a new device. I just didn't set up my audio correctly. Happy Mercury in the microwave. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Anyway, if you are watching this, if you could share the broadcast, I'd be grateful. Put a cat in the chat if you would like to request a card. I'm closing some of my windows so that I can just see everyone and not be stressed. Okay. I'm about to pull a card for everyone, but in the meantime, answer me these questions 3. Question 1. What are you sipping on? I am sipping on filtered water from Aldi. Ooh. Question 2. Where are you tuned in from? I am broadcasting live from Long Island, New York in my dragon lair. Cheers, by the way. And question 3. How are you feeling this morning? I want the real answer, not the polite answer. I am feeling shaken. I'm feeling shaken. I received news that stressed me out and made me reevaluate some things, which is, by the way, what Mercury retrograde and solar eclipse season and lunar eclipse season is all about. However, I have wonderful humans in my life, a wonderful place to live, and y'all are tuned in. And I get 3 cards for you, and Kaylee's around somewhere being a varmint. So there's a lot to be grateful for. Sheridan, cat is in the chat. We love it. We love it. We love it. Brittany says, I only just woke up, so I'm running to get tea started. Here for that. All right, let's pull a card for everybody. This is going to be our card for the month of March, coming right up tomorrow. Sipping on blue electrolyte water. Love blue flavor. Tuning in from comfy blanket couch. Feeling not fun. Depressive episode hitting hard and uncomfortable. Hugs to you. That's rough. Mary Jane sipping coffee, Huntington, and freaked out over the current state of the nation. Yeah, it's very scary. It's very scary. Doing a little shuffling. This is the Everyday Witch Tarot by Deborah Blake and Elizabeth Alba. Here's our collective advice for the month of March. Friends, is the Ten of Swords. Let what's over be over and collect your feelings. I don't mean don't feel your feelings. I mean allow yourself to feel your feelings and make wise choices about what to do about them because you've been through it. The bad thing is over. However, now we enter a time of recovery, right? The Ten of Swords does represent a finite ending, one that has not felt good. Look at all those swords. We don't like it. And with the Ten of Swords as an advice card, because that's what I pull for the Witchy Weather Report. It's an advice card. It's not a predictive card. It represents that the bad thing has already happened, and now we're doing the recovery from the trauma. We're moving through how we feel so that we can rise again strong. And we're being gentle with ourselves in this recovery. Hello, Ten of Swords. It's so nice to see you again. We have already people asking specific questions, but I want to talk about the Ten of Swords a little bit. We've been through it. 2026 has already been enough, in my opinion. And our job now is to let the things that are over be over, meaning don't reopen the door to something that hurt you. Let what's over be over. And let yourself heal from what has happened. That's the second part, is let yourself heal. So we're being gentle with ourselves and we're being real with ourselves, and we're taking ourselves in hand and reflecting like we would if we had a child who had just been through something, or a friend who had just been through something, and reflecting what is going to make this person feel better and able to heal. We're doing the healing. We're doing the recovery. I see someone in the TikTok chat saying those cards have a dangerous trade. I'm not really sure what you mean by that, but if you don't like tarot cards, I invite you to not watch this broadcast because that's what it's about. So you won't enjoy it. Brittany says, I'm actually not that spicy about seeing the Ten of Swords, but I'm also going to need some some deep think. My brain read depthful thoughts. Because the first three things that pop into my mind about it doesn't really make sense. Yeah, I will share that often for my people, the people who tend to come to me as a reader, the Ten of Swords is not about the immediate moment. It's about recovery. It's about trauma recovery. And rising strong. So it doesn't have to be something that just happened. You know what I mean? It can mean time to tend to the wound that happened years ago. One of my favorite things about this card in this deck is that the sun is rising in the background. It feels like a little bit of hope. Yes, and the other thing I want to draw your attention to is this crow. You do have people in your corner. This crow is here. And this crow knows, oh, I can't really help, you know. I'm just here surveying this sad scene. But the crow's here and dropping a feather. It's like almost in respect, right? It's like, I'm here for you and I care. I'm not leaving you to face this alone. You don't have to face this alone. Hey, Anjali, welcome. So the other thing everyone does need to know is Mercury just went in the microwave and we're in between two eclipses. So Mercury in retrograde started 2 days ago, will continue through most of March. You can look up the exact date for when it goes out of retrograde. I have not. It's in March. It's towards the end of March. For most of March, Mercury is going to be in retrograde. And that means that we're going to have difficulty. We're going to have difficulty with technology. We're going to have difficulty with communications. See, also, I started my broadcast today and the audio wasn't working in 3 out of 5 places. We're going to have difficulty with tech. We're going to have difficulty with travel and plans, and we should triple check things that are important to us to make sure they go as planned, and we should still be flexible and adaptable. People may come out of the woodwork whom you have not heard from in a long time, or who you didn't expect to hear from in this context. And we will be recalibrating. The other thing you need to know is that during this most recent solar eclipse, a lot of people made decisions during these kind of the middle 2 weeks of February. A lot of people made decisions about who they wanted to be and how they wanted to change their approach. And you're going to start to see people living out those decisions. And as a result, we're living in a new landscape. We're living in a different landscape than the one we came into February in, because many people's attitude and actions have changed. Perhaps you're one of them. I'm one of them. I'm one of the people who have changed my attitude and actions, right? And as a result, the way that we used to operate is no longer going to be as functional, because a lot of people have changed their minds about how they'll show up in the world, so that when you do or say something expecting one reaction, you might get a very different one. So this is also a time of recalibration. Thank you so much. I have a flash goal. I think somebody just sent me a gift on TikTok. Thank you. You're lovely. I'm also here to read tarot cards, by the way. Listen, it's Mercury retrograde, and one of the changes that I've made is that I'm going to exist in the world more honestly, and I'm going to show up for myself better. I'm here to read tarot cards. People who present female, which by the way, I'm non-binary, I use they, them pronouns, are not here on the internet to be your eye candy. We are doing a variety of different things and living our lives. I'm running my career as a tarot reader right now. So if you compliment me, I say thank you. But I'm not really here to have like anything beyond that. And I'll just say that directly to anyone commenting. One of my favorite things, now I read this one, I'm forever and always that crow dropping a feather of love to my friends going through a hard time. Yes. TikTok's been a real mixed bag for me. I go live in 5 different places, and TikTok has been the weirdest one so far. But you know what? It's okay. I'm here for it. I'm here for just like seeing how the vibe goes in these different spaces. So people have been making new decisions. People will continue to make new decisions because we have another eclipse, a lunar eclipse with this upcoming full moon. And that's coming up on Monday, the 3rd. It's a good time to make moon water, especially if your goal is to release things. If there's things in your life that you're ready to release, perhaps you've made some new decisions. You want to release some of the old behaviors or old patterns. It's a great time. Put some water out by the moon. I recommend putting it in a covered container. I actually usually just buy like a bottle of water from 7-Eleven or something so that I don't have to worry about anything getting into it or whatever. I put it in the window. It doesn't have to be outside, as long as as long as it's kind of like the moon's rays would get it, even if there's not a window, like you're fine. And allow the moon to charge whatever it is that you wish to let go of. Allow yourself to decide what it is you want to let go of. And you may choose to pour that water out once the moon charges it. You may choose to like put it in plants. You might choose to repurpose it and say to yourself, like, I'm taking the energy I was putting into this old thing and I'm repurposing it in this different way, right? Now it can bring life to my plants, right? Take this energy and transform it into something useful in a different way, because I'm not showing up for it anymore. That can be a great way to use moon water at the full moon. Andine, you tuned in. Hello. I was literally just about to pull a card for you. Okay. And if you missed it, Andine, our card for everyone is the 10 of Swords. We're facing what has happened. We're out of the woods in that the bad thing is over. We're not out of the woods, and that it's time now to recover, right? The 10 of Swords is a card of the ending, like the thing has ended and now we recover. And so trauma recovery is no small thing. And that's what we're all focusing on. We're looking at how we've been wounded by these different situations, and we're recovering. Hello, Divine, and welcome. I'm so glad you're tuned in. Thank you for tuning in. I'm doing well. New to the live. So in March, we're all recovering and we're letting what is over be over. That's the big TLDR. Mercury is in retrograde. And so we will be recalibrating whether we like it or not. That's going to be the energy of the month. I'm going to start pulling cards for everyone who has requested a card. If you'd like one, the secret code is to drop a cat emoji in the chat or write the word meow. Andine, I'm starting with you because you kind of, I prearranged a card for you in my mind. So if you have a question, hit me up and let me know. Okay, actually, I'll read for one person before you. I'll read for Mary Jane, and then I'll get to you because Mary Jane did have a question, and I want to give you a chance to ask a question since you are tuned in. I see a cat for Anjali. I love this question, Mary Jane. Where will I be financially in a year? I suspect that this question depends on you as much as circumstances. So let's see what the cards have to say. Because remember, a year is a long time, and this depends so much on your decisions. So when someone asks me a direct predictive question like this, I always want to have a grain of salt that, like, you could make a new choice tomorrow that could make this card not valid anymore. Where will I be in a year? Financially, in my love life, whatever, right? You could change your mind about something tomorrow, and that's not where you'll be in a year anymore because we have free will, right? So that's just like kind of my heads up, my sprinkle of knowledge is based on your current trajectory. Mary Jane, the answer is the Three of Swords. And what I see here is rain and miscommunication. What that actually specifically makes me think about is like the fluctuations of things like the stock market, things like retirement. If you have any money like that, that is affected in that way. I see there being like misunderstandings, and I see you having like, wow, it fell to the ground, and underneath it is the Knight of Cups. So let me ask you a new question, Mary Jane, because what the cards seem to be reminding you of is that our money problems and our money motivations are similar to our love problems and our love motivations. It's often very tied up in our worthiness. It's tied up in our self-worth. It's tied up in our beliefs. And with the Knight of Cups coming forward kind of aggressively through the Three of Swords, I want to ask you what you're putting your emotional energy into financially, and ask you to be thoughtful about those choices and maybe balance them out. I'm going to also seek an advice card for you. It's the Nine of Swords. Be real with yourself about your anxieties instead of glad handing yourself. Make thoughtful decisions this year about your finances. The Nine of Swords suggests paying attention to your worries and doing so in a way that is functional rather than rumination, right? The Nine of Swords as an advice card, we're doing strategy, not rumination. If we find ourselves worrying about something, we go ahead and pull it into the light and say, I'm worried about this. How real is it? Is it likely to happen? Am I just projecting? How do I really feel? What do I really think about this topic? Because when we explore it, we take the mystery out and we have an opportunity. So, what I see for your finances is that you're going to have to do some soul searching about how you feel about money, how you feel about deserving money, how you feel about how you work with money, whether you feel good and competent or nervous and stressy, and do some unpacking, and also to love the idea of yourself having an abundant experience financially, and to ask yourself if there's anything to unpack around that. I'm someone who hates the word abundance, by the way, because I feel like it's overused, and it's only used by people like manifesting money, right? And I'm like, we don't use this in regular life, you know? How do you feel about having plenty of money? How do you feel about not having to worry about money? How do you feel about having more than you need? Do those things bring up feelings for you other than that feels neat and I want it, thank you? Because if so, you might have some things to unpack about what may be blocking you around embracing your financial life. We have the Knight of Cups here, which indicates there are things you want to move forward with emotionally, but you're also nervous to do so. And often the emotions around our money are very similar to the emotions around our relationships. So I invite you to do some soul searching about that. And if you remind me, Mary Jane, so sorry, I just got a phone call. I declined it. If you remind me, Mary Jane, I will pull another card for you in a week and see how that situation looks. Let me know. I'm going to go rescue the card that dove under the table from this one. Where did you go? I saw it fall. You guys, Mercury is surely in the microwave. Hang on. Okay, here it is. You're welcome. Okay. I see several people have put meows and cats in the chat. I appreciate you. I have a cat from Anjali. I'm going through Instagram first only because it's the hardest for me to scroll. Andine, I didn't see a question from you, so I'm just gonna pull a general card. I'm just scrolling up these TikTok comments to see if anyone has left a cat. I see a few things that are not cats. Thank you for your kind words, friends. I don't have a husband, and that's a weird thing to talk about on somebody's broadcast that's not about relationships or romance. I'm a tarot reader. Yep, okay, I don't see any requests on the TikTok. There we go. Andine, I'm pulling a card for you. Next up, Anjali, and then I'm going to get to, I see a bunch of cats in the chat, so don't worry, I'm going to get to you. In the meantime, if you tuned in for the broadcast recently and didn't get to answer me these questions 3, question 1 is where you broadcast, or where you tuned in from. I'm broadcasting live from my dragon lair here on Long Island in New York. Question 2 is, what are you sipping on? I am sipping on a bottle of water, which I hope to finish by the end of this broadcast. And question 3 is, how are you feeling today? You guys, I'm feeling a little spicy today. Thank you so much. Brittany says, sending Rory some love about navigating these weird comments today. I appreciate it. And, you know, there are people whose advice to people getting like bullied or harassed, or in the case of people who present female, kind of aggressively hit on the internet, which, by the way, aggressively hitting on someone that you don't know in a context that is not romantic is harassment, just so you know, just so we're clear on that. It's not invited. A lot of people's suggestion is to just ignore them. And I'm here to tell you, as someone who has been bullied and has watched different harmful dynamics play out, that just ignoring someone's bad behavior absolutely doesn't make it go away. In fact, it gives them permission to continue because they understand that they have no consequences. So I don't just ignore people who are making me uncomfortable, who are saying things they shouldn't say to me. I don't just ignore it. I'm going to discuss it. And that's how I roll in my life and on my broadcast. And you can do you. You can do what you want to do. But thank you. I really appreciate the support. Sincerely. Meow meow. Hey Zoe, how are you? Hydration checkpoint. Thank you. Okay, Andine, I'm pulling your card and showing it to you. I'm taking a hydration checkpoint, and I will continue with my interpretation. Andine is the Queen of Cups. Be the Queen of Cups you want to see in the world. Allow yourself to be in your emotional sovereignty. I'll let you think about that while I sip on my water. Thank you, Hidden. I appreciate you. Hydration checkpoint complete. Please give me a gold star. I need it this weekend. So what does it look like to be sovereign with your emotions? It does not look like controlling your emotions. Nope. We are showing up for our emotions. We're showing up for our emotions this month. All of us with the 10 of Swords, we're showing up for our emotions, especially around difficult things in our past. We're not trying to push them under. We're not trying to pretend we don't feel the complicated, inconvenient feelings. We're showing up for our emotions. And you're invited, Andine, to remind yourself that your emotions are wise and helpful messengers, and that showing up for them as friends, as loving friends, can bring you and will bring you the gifts of life that you seek. You can see that the Queen of Cups is here at the edge of the ocean. It's almost like she's making an offering to the ocean. She's got this big shell and she's pouring water back into the ocean, representing this cycle. We see a lot in the tarot deck of people standing by a body of water and either pouring back into it or pouring into the ground or just receiving, stepping in it 1 foot in the water. And the Queen of Cups here is saying, I honor my emotional self and I pour into my emotional self, right? This water representing the sea of her emotions, the sea of the unknown within her, the subconscious mind, the sea of her sensuality and sexuality and other emotions that we often in our culture deem a little bit not, a little bit taboo, right? And these emotions, she's saying, no, I pour back into my emotional cup. I honor my emotions rather than turning away. I am here for them. And this is a lot like when you're going through a difficult time. Maybe you're going through a breakup, maybe something just happened to you and you're having a rough emotional time, and a friend sits with you and holds your hand, right? They can't take it away. They can't change it for you, but they say, I'm here to show up for this. You can act and feel however you need right now. I'm here for you as you go through it. And we're giving ourselves that gift to ourselves when we show up for our emotions. We're saying, however I feel is okay. I'm not going to shame myself about my feelings. I'm going to let myself have my feelings, and I'm going to strategize from a place of understanding myself better, knowing that my feelings have things to teach me and are wise messengers. They teach me about the outside world. They teach me about my perception, and they teach me about myself. They teach me about how I engage with different stimuli. They can also teach us about our projections, right? There are times when we have a feeling and we're like, I know that doesn't line up with reality, but that's how I feel right now. And that teaches us something about ourselves. And instead of being mean to ourselves about it, we can get curious and say, why does that make me feel that way? And pour into our own emotional cup and sit with ourselves instead of arguing with ourselves. I invite you to pour into your own emotional cup this month, Ondine. Gold stars for Robot 5000. Thank you so much, Brittany. Brittany says, big oof on my part for every single card drawn today. You're right on target, Rory, and it feels uncomfortable to be confronted with it. Good job. Thank you. That is my job. That is literally my job as a tarot reader. I'm sorry, and you're welcome. Okay. Pulling cards next for Anjali, and then I'm going to go down the list on and see who has requested a card in Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. If you missed it, the big card for the month is the 10 of Swords. We've been through it, and it's time to let ourselves feel our feelings about the things we've been through, hold our own hands, and allow ourselves realistic room to recover, right? If you're, it's the Olympics right now. If you're like an Olympic skater and you like fall and break a leg, no person would expect you to get up the next day and skate again, right? They would understand that your next move would be to recover. And maybe there's high pressure on you. Maybe you recover as smart and wisely as you can, right? But your next move is not to put further harm on an already hurt part of you. Your next move is to offer care to that hurt part of you and to recover. So that's your goal, is to let yourself recover from whatever you may have to recover from. We all have different wounds. That card's for everybody. Anjali, I'm pulling a card for you. Your card is the Knight of Swords. The answer can be found not by me giving you a quick, succinct tarot answer, but by having the conversations and exploring within and without. The Knight of Swords has, I've noticed, been a card of the moment for me and several people in these last few weeks. I think we're having a little bit of a collective Knight of Swords moment where we try to understand what is true, and we have the messy conversations required to try to get at the truth. And it is going to be messy, friends. And the Knight of Swords are not afraid to dive in and figure it out. You know, the Knight of Swords says, I'm going to charge on even though I don't know the outcome. I'm going to charge on even though I don't know if I like what I'll hear, right? The Knight of Swords says the only way out is through, and the truth sets you free. The Knight of Swords wants very badly to be set free by the truth. If I understand the truth, I can decide with wisdom and context what my next move is. So the Knight of Swords is very invested in simply getting to their best understanding of the truth about themselves, about other people, about the world. And of course, that what the Knight of Swords will learn is that the truth is complex, right? That if you ask 3 different people the truth about a situation, you'll get 3 different answers. And then the Knight of Swords has to go have a conference with themselves, right? And be like, okay, what do I think about this? Right. And so we're on a quest for truth. You're on a quest for truth right now, Anjali. Allow yourself to hold that a concept loosely, understanding that the truth is big and complex, but also very worth pursuing. Do your best and have the conversations you need to have and do the self-inquiry you need to do as well. I see some card requests on TikTok. I will get to y'all soon. I'm going through some previous card requests, but I just want to let you know, Akasha and Patrina, if you stick around, I hope I'm saying your names right, by the way. Please tell me if I'm wrong. It's important to me to get people's names right. Let me know. But if you stick around, you will get your card pulls. Okay, let's see who we got on deck. That was my future card for my last reading for myself. Anjali, well, you are here or you were about to be here. You're in your Knight of Swords. It's very interesting, actually, because I will share that I've had a personal Knight of Swords thing this month where I did my monthly reading for myself that ended with this final week being a Knight of Swords week. If anyone's interested in getting a monthly weather report breakdown from me, where I give you week by week what the energy is and what you can do with it and how to show up for yourself, today's like the last day to order it for the month of March. I'll be doing everyone's readings tomorrow. If I get extra readings, you might not get it till Monday because I'm just cramming everyone in. But you can do that at tinyurl.com/yourtarotmonth. It's at the link in my bio on Instagram, or just type in tinyurl.com your tarot month. I'm putting that in the comments on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube because I have easy access to type it. But if you're anywhere else, tinyurl.com/your tarot month is where to order a monthly reading. Anyway, sorry. I just try to take the opportunities to share about that because otherwise I might forget. I had the Knight of Swords as this week for me in my monthly reading for February. And I had also done a Celtic Cross about a specific situation for myself that ended with the Knight of Swords. And indeed, here I am at the very end of February and at the end of that Celtic Cross. That's how I measure a reading, by the way. You're ready for a new reading, in my opinion, when you have hit the outcome card from the last reading. When you're like, yes, I am here. I recognize this, right? And then it's like, yes, I am ready for a new reading. When you've hit that outcome card. And I have indeed come to the Knight of Swords. And the truth is both setting me free and pissing me off. Anyway, be the Knight of Swords you wish to see in the world, Anjali. Let's see who is on deck for a card. Okay, we got Judith. And then we got Brittany. And then we got Hidden. And that's all that'll fit in my brain. There are more people, so don't worry, I'll get to you. I'm getting to people in order as they requested a card. And I'm going till noon. So it's now 11:41 my time. So I'm going for about another 20 minutes. Does Judith, Brittany, Hidden, do any of you have a particular question? Now's your opportunity. Let me know, let me know, let me know. Thank you so much for posting that reminder, Brittany, Judith, Brittany, Hidden. Okay. I don't see any questions yet, so I'm just going to pull a card for you, Judith. Judith, your card is the 10 of Swords. I want to talk to you about this. Everyone's card for the month is a 10 of Swords, so everyone may find some value in this. But Judith, in particular, your job is to recover, not to leap into action. I'll say it again. Your job is to recover, not to leap into action. How does healing take place? It just happens. And if we look too often, we'll be like, nothing is happening at all. It's not working, right? And I give you the example of like a broken bone. You broke a bone a few years ago. It mended itself over time, right? But there was a time which I remember well because I was very worried about you, where you were like, am I going to walk again? Is my life going to be back to normal again? Am I going to heal? And the answer is yes, but it takes the time it takes. And that's not necessarily fun. And you have the mental game of like, is it working? Is it working? Am I going to heal? Right. Throughout that. And you did heal, right? You're walking around. You're a little more careful now because you've learned you've learned what can happen to you. So you've decided to be proactively more careful. But yes, you've healed and you're back to the life where you can be you and do your things. So the answer here is twofold. Yes, healing is possible. And also, yes, you got to let it happen. It happens on its time and it happens in the right conditions. You had to take a time out from many parts of your life in order to heal physically. In order to heal emotionally, you have to give yourself that room. You have to give yourself timeouts instead of pushing yourself to act like everything is normal, because everything is not normally healing. So if you want to heal, you have to give yourself room, time, and space to heal. And the magic formula is that it's room, time, and space, right? It's not what practice I'm guilty of this. What practice can I do to heal myself right now? Right? There is no right now to be had with healing. Sometimes it takes the time it takes. So you have to be gentle with yourself and give yourself room and understand and trust that as you do that, as you do show up for whatever practices you're doing, that it is working, but it takes time. Like growing a garden, when you plant a seed, it takes time to germinate. When you break a bone, it mends all by itself. The human body is amazing, but you better believe it takes time, and you better believe it won't mend so good if you just pretend it's fine and keep, trying to do your normal life on it. You need to give it time. Next up, we got Brittany and then Hidden, and then I'll look to see who is next. If you're tuned in, thank you so much. I appreciate you. That's it. That's all I'll say. I do this once a month, so follow me. If you like this vibe, if you like my style, follow me. You'll see me post readings, at different times just for the collective, and you'll see me come up once a month with this broadcast. Brittany, it's a 10 of Cups. And I really am reading this in an internal family systems context. I'm reading this in terms of being familial towards yourself. The 10 of Cups represents family and chosen family. It represents community. It represents all that we have within and around us that we have cultivated over the years. And I really see this representing for you, Brittany, lavishing in and celebrating the progress that you've made on showing up for all the different parts of yourself. And allowing yourself not just to do that active love as a verb, I'm going to figure out this problem solving. Often when we do healing work, we approach everything as problem solving and we forget to mark progress. That's for everyone. That's also for everyone. We forget to notice, oh, maybe I'm not all the way healed, but I can do this now, right? When I broke my foot, there was a moment where it was like, oh, maybe I'm not all the way healed, but I can put weight on my foot for carefully in my boot, right? Oh, maybe I'm not all the way healed, but I have access to this movement again, right? Slowly and carefully, right? Under the advice of a physician, right? I found those progress markers. When we're doing emotional healing, we often feel like if I don't feel all the way better, I've made no progress at all. And that's not real. So you're invited to do some progress marking. You're invited to celebrate all the parts of yourselves and all the ways they've shown up for you and all the ways you've shown up for them. The family of Brittany. And what I want you to understand with this card is that there are blessings that you don't even realize you have at hand because you have healed enough to gain some level ups in certain areas of your life. And you'll only see it if you allow yourself leisure time, time with yourself, time with these different parts of yourself. That's not about problem solving. It's just about showing up and being loving, right? Like when we show up with our family or chosen family and have a nice dinner together or watch a movie together or do a fun activity together, like a scavenger hunt. And we realize, wow, there's really a lot of love here. There's really a lot to be grateful for. Okay, Hidden says general advice to get me through this episode with as much ease as I can get. Okay, that's a great question. I love it. Your answer is the Four of Cups. Don't continue to throw things at yourself that won't work. Allow yourself to feel how you feel. Does that mean we set up a tent and say, I'm going to feel bad forever? No, but it does mean that we say, I'm feeling bad and I'm allowed to acknowledge it if we're feeling bad. I'm feeling stagnant and we're allowed to acknowledge it if we're feeling stagnant. Acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. We cannot solve a problem if we don't accept it. We cannot address a feeling if we're not accepting that we simply fucking have it, right? And you are, listen, there are times you're going to be in the soup. And there are times when well-meaning people are going to be like, just take a walk and just think positive. And you're allowed to say, hey, that won't help me out of the fucking soup. And you're further allowed to say, if you do want to help, this would help. This is not your first rodeo, and you're allowed to name what does and doesn't work for you and share. This is what I know I don't need. This is what may make a difference for me. And I assure you, people who care enough to offer you bad advice or who are trying to help you in ways that maybe aren't quite working for you, those people will, if they care, will be willing to hear your feedback about this will help, right? So be honest. Be honest with yourself and others. You don't owe it to anyone to put on a happy face when you're not feeling happy. You don't, and again, that's not the advice to like sink into it and be negative. But I think sometimes when we accuse ourselves and each other of being negative, what we're actually doing is saying, you're looking in the face at a feeling that I'm not comfortable with, and I'm shaming you for it. So I'm not willing to shame you. I'm telling you to go ahead and look in the face at your emotions and be loving with yourself about them and stand up for yourself and speak for yourself. Don't let anyone, including me, define you or your experience. Hidden says, the cards my therapist are on a similar wavelength. I needed to rehear that. I'm glad. I love when I coincide with someone's therapist. Hello, I see some new commenters. Can I get a reading? Yes, you can. I will pull a card for you as I have time. I have 11 minutes and a few more people to get to, so I hope I get to you. If you have a question, please feel free to put it in the chat. I'm still going through everybody right now. So if you stick around is the answer. Okay, let's see who else we have. I know I have some people I did not yet pull a card for. Divine Anne, Zoe, and then I'm going to move on to my TikTok people. If you are watching on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, and you've put a cat and I didn't see it, you tell me. The two people I see left on deck are Divine Anne and Zoe. But if you're like, no, don't forget me, tell me right now. Divine Anne. Your card is the Page of Cups. I'm looking to see if you had a question. I think you just asked for a card. Yep, I just see a meow. Your card is the Page of Cups. Your inner child has some news for you. Your emotions has some news for you. Don't worry, Katrina, you're still on deck. It's time to be gentle because this part of yourself is vulnerable. The Page of Cups we could think of as our youngest self. The youngest version of ourselves, or perhaps the most vulnerable version of ourselves. The part of ourselves that might finish a book that they've read or finish a creative project they were doing and want to go and run and tug on someone's sleeves and be like, look, 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 look. I love this so much. What do you think? And that part of ourselves is very vulnerable, right? When a child makes a drawing and runs to you and tugs your sleeve and says, look, I made this drawing, you have a possibility as an adult that they care about to either shut them down or build them up, right? If you're like, that doesn't look like what you said it looks like, that's not very good, that child is going to walk away feeling some bad things about themselves. If you say, wow, great job, tell me all about it, what did you draw? That child is going to have a positive association with creativity and is going to keep coming back, right? And so how can you be loving to this part of yourself? How can you be loving to your inner child the part of you that can be very excited and joyful, but also very vulnerable? Can you take things slow with yourself? Can you be gentle with yourself? Can you be affirming with yourself while also having healthy boundaries, right? Our inner children, just like regular children, deserve to be affirmed and to be mirrored and to be treated with love. And also, they need to be reminded, you don't go out and cross the street without me, right? They need to know their boundaries so that they can stay safe, right? So we hold healthy, loving boundaries. And we don't make our inner children afraid. We affirm them, right? And we let them know this is what's safe for you. I'm looking out for you. And also, I believe in you and you're growing. Next up, we got Zoe. Hydration checkpoint, everyone. Zoe, your card is the Ace of Pentacles. Look at this ace, and it's almost like you don't expect it, even though you yourself did it. The Ace of Pentacles is like this new lease on life and this new glimpse at what a more stable you is capable of. I suspect that there are some wins to be had from actions you have already taken, but that put your life in a new light. And I know you've been taking different actions, both emotionally and on a practical level, to better your life, to take care of your nervous system, to give yourself greater stability. And I speak about that because I know you and I know those are some of the actions you've been taking, but also Pentacles can represent other types of stability as well. Financial stability, the stability of our relationships that are core relationships, the stability of creating a day-to-day for ourselves that is nourishing and feels good and special rather than frazzling and overwhelming. You have really got an opportunity. It almost feels like a fresh start because the investments that you've made in your own stability are paying off. And you find that as you experience that increased stability, you have new ideas, you have new possibilities. You're entering an era where of yes, where you've been in an era of healthy no's. You've been in an era of like, I set these boundaries and I create these circumstances for myself. And I say no to things that are not going to create the circumstances where I can flourish. And because you've created that, you now have the safe space to grow and flourish. So your healthy no's have led you to an era of yes. Here is the Ace of Pentacles. You have abundant possibilities. You have possibilities of living a bigger life, living a more fulfilling life because of the work you've already done. Okay, I'm going back to TikTok. I've got a few people on deck. I had Akasha, I had Patrina. And I had, there was one more person who said, can I get a reading? And I just see a star for your username, so I'm just calling you Star. Sorry, I'm scrolling. I know this is like the most fun part of the broadcast where I just scroll through comments, but I want to make sure to give people their full attention. Okay, Akasha says, will Anthony reach out to me now that I've done a love spell? I'm going to share that I do get asked these kind of questions. Is someone going to call? Is someone going to reach out? Often. I'm not going to, my own personal view of things like love spells, I wouldn't personally do a love spell on a person. I would do a love spell to attract what I wanted to me. I don't know what kind of love spell you did, and it's not mine to have an opinion on your choices around that. But the question is, will this person reach out to you? And obviously, you were invested enough to do a love spell, whether it was a general one or whether it was about this person or who knows. I don't know. I don't have that information. If you're that invested, is there a reason you're not reaching out yourself? That's my question for you. That's my question as a human being who wants to see you get what you want and knows that sometimes we have to be the ones to make the first move. And sometimes we make ourselves powerless by telling ourselves we can't be the one. And here's my card for you about that situation. It's the Knight of Cups. It's a vulnerable vulnerable experience. Does this mean that this person will reach out to you? Does this mean that you'll reach out? There's potential here with the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups has vulnerable, giving, loving emotions attached to it. So there is potential here. And I recommend when the Knight of Cups comes up that we are gentle with ourselves and other people involved, because the Knight of Cups is a very vulnerable part of us. The Knight of Cups is one step up from the Page of Cups, right? So if the Page of Cups is our vulnerable inner child, you can think of the Knight of Cups as our vulnerable inner hopeless romantic, right? Who just wants to see, who just wants love and just wants to give love. And it's very, very loving and can be a little bit naive. Or alternately has been around the block a time or two and knows that sometimes just wanting to give love is not enough and they still get hurt. And so I ask you to tread lightly and lovingly with your heart and the hearts of others. I ask you to go ahead and reach out if there's something in your heart that you want to share. And I ask you to be gentle again with yourself and others as you do that. The Knight of Cups has a lot of vulnerable, loving potential. Brittany says I have to head out a little bit early, sending lots of love. Lots of love to you. Okay, I've got 2 more people for TikTok, and then I'm going to pull a card for me. I'm going to do it. I'm going to bravely pull a card for myself on screen. After these last 2 people on TikTok, we're now closed for requests. However, if you would like to get a reading from me, tinyurl.com/yourtarotmonth is where you can order your March reading from me. tinyurl.com/yourtarotmonth. You can order a March reading from me. You can subscribe and save $10 a month, or you can just do a one-off reading for this month. That's completely up to you. And I would love to read for you. Okay, let's see what I'm pulling for Patrina. I just want to see if you had a particular question. And then star, person whose username is just star, which I love, you're on deck. Just says, can I have a card? Okay, I'm just pulling a card for you. Your card is the 6 of Pentacles. It's time to evaluate. Patrina, this is for you. It's time to evaluate your giving and receiving and how that's working out for you in different situations, in different relationships, in different circumstances and situations in your life. Professionally, how do you feel about what you're giving out versus what you're getting back? Relationally, in different areas of your life, how do you feel about what you're giving out versus what you're getting back? Financially, how do you feel about what you're putting out versus what you're getting back? You're meant to do this in a very practical way. This is the 6 of Pentacles, not the 6 of Cups. You're not meant to get lost in the sauce. You're not meant to ask yourself a lot of shoulds, questions that start with should I. You're asked to simply ask yourself, how is it going for me? How is it going? What am I putting out and what am I getting back? And do I need some adjustments? Are there people who take advantage of my goodwill, of my willingness to work hard, of my willingness to put energy out? And I'm not getting back, but I am getting drained. Do I need to make adjustments? Are there circumstances where I'm putting so much more energy into something than what I'm getting back, and other areas of my life are getting neglected? Do I need to make adjustments? Are there circumstances where I have been receiving and not treating the other person with the respect and gratitude and kindness that they deserve? Do I need to make adjustments? We're evaluating our giving and receiving. And we're just doing so as even-handedly as possible. How is it working? We're asking practically. So that's the question. That's the question. I give you back a question for yourself, Patrina, which is, where am I giving and what am I getting back? And do I need to make some adjustments? Just real practical. This is a good practice for you to maybe journal about or think about. And I will tell you, Mercury retrograde is actually the exact right time to ask yourself this question, because it's an opportunity to recalibrate. If you tuned in after I pulled the card for everyone, it's the 10 of Swords. We're recovering. We're recovering from wounds, emotional, physical, whatever. What you got? We have the ability to do some recovery if we are gentle for ourselves and make time and space for it. Will you make time and space for yourself to recover? Will you show up for yourself? That's for everyone. Star. You just have a star in your username. I don't know what to call you, so I'm just calling you Star. This is your card. It's Ace of Swords. Now, the Ace of Swords is a card of breakthrough, and I often find that that's a little frustrating to receive in a tarot reading. You're like, yeah, I'd like a breakthrough. That's why I'm asking the cards. And the Ace of Swords here points you to the fact that like you can understand what you need to understand. You can gain the understanding, and you can have the perspective, especially, of what you need. It's coming to you. So what I recommend when the Ace of Swords comes up is to make yourself ready for it. Give yourself room to have a breakthrough. How do we give ourselves room to have a breakthrough, Rory? I'm so glad you asked. You get enough sleep. Most of us do not get enough sleep. 8 hours is insufficient for most people. And I want to also let you know that the studies that said 8 hours were done exclusively on men. And it has been shown since that women need more sleep than that to function well. And if you're getting about 8 hours, which really means 6 or 7, you're not getting enough sleep. Get enough sleep. That will aid in your breakthrough. Take good care of yourself and your body. Don't be on all the time. And that includes both being on in terms of actively putting out information and taking in. Give yourself a time where you're not putting out or taking in, where you're just existing. We often have our breakthroughs in times when we're in neutral. We're not doom scrolling. We're not watching something. We're not reading something, taking in information. We're not working. We're not sending out information. We're not texting. We're not putting out information. We're in neutral. We get our breakthroughs when we're on a walk, when we're in the shower, when we're doing the dishes. So give yourself time in neutral, because that is when the perspective shift will usually come. And give yourself time to reflect, whether that's through meditation or journaling or any other practice that you enjoy, or conversations with friend if you're someone who processes through conversation. Give yourself time to reflect, give yourself rest, give yourself time in neutral. These are my advice for you, and that is how you will get your breakthrough. It is available to you. You can figure this out. Always look at the Ace of Swords as that kind of confirmation. You will figure this out. Guys, I'm going to be brave and pull a card for myself live on screen, because if I put you through it, I put me through it. That's the vibe. That's what I do. That's how I run my entire career. If you enjoyed this, please follow me wherever. I'm live currently on TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You can follow me all those 5 places and get more readings from me. If you'd like to order a full reading from me, you can do so at tinyurl.com/yourtarotmonth for the month of March. And that's all. That's all I want you to know. Here's my card. You guys, it's the Fool. I'm delighted by this card for myself. I'm supposed to embrace a new beginning. I pull advice cards. What do I need to know? What do I need to hear? If I'm not otherwise directed, if someone asks me a predictive reading, I will pull it for them, but I always give them the caveat that like your free will can change this, right? My card is the Fool, and I'm going to read it as if I'm reading for one of you, because that is how I get out of my own way during readings. Anyone who reads for themselves and has a hard time, I have several clients who are like, I can read, but I come to you for readings because I'm going to get a better reading from you. I can't be objective. Pretend you're reading for someone else. So queer and person who asked for this card, you're meant to do a trust fall with the universe right now. You're meant to trust that the work you've done is enough to give you the new beginning. And you're meant to even jump off the cliff and go with your heart. That's the caveat. Follow your heart. We're not following obligations. We're not following fear. We're not following shame. We're following our heart. If our body says yes, if our heart and our nervous system say yes, this for sure, say yes and trust that you'll land on your feet. That's the advice of the Fool. Throw yourself at life because it will catch you. All right, everyone. It's been wonderful reading for you. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, the rest of your February, which is like 12 hours. and a wonderful March. Remember to take care of yourself and make room for yourself this month. We've all got stuff to heal from. It's very hard to heal if we're not giving at least a little bit of that time, space, and energy to our recovery. So be gentle with yourselves and show up for your healing this month. Farewell.